What is up inside the locker room on this special episode? We have a special guest with us today, and I'm just gonna let him introduce himself.
All right, my name is Jayko Jumoyako. I'm an up and coming actor, and I'm ready to talk some hoops. Ready to talk some hoops.
Yeah, so this is a quick little exclusive episode, and we're gonna be doing these a lot more often in the coming weeks. But this one is a lot of basketball going on. Well, it's kind of the off season, but you still got the summer league going on. But it's never too late not to talk, basketball going into next season and looking back at last season. But it's been, like a lot of questions this offseason, like who's the next dynasty shaping? We thought the Celtics were, we saw the Thunder, win the championship this year, and they still got a bunch of young assets, even the Rockets, the Spurs. So it's a lot of teams that have like an opportunity, to become the next and upcoming dynasty. But I'm gonna start with you, Jay. What team do you think is just like has the best chance to become the next dynasty for the next, 5-10 years or 5-8 years like the Warriors were?
So I was kind of like struggling between picking the Spurs and picking the Thunder, just because like we see what the Thunder doing. They just got the most recent MVP, and then obviously J Dub's been hooping. I think he got his first All Star this year, and then we just got a lot of like defensive menaces on the team, a lot of good shooters. But I kind of want to go with the Spurs. I mean, I'm from Texas, so I feel like I gotta kind of go with them a little bit. But I think they have a lot of good pieces. Like obviously they have Wembanyama, who is going to be my pick for DPOY this year. Um, and then
Should have
also
won last year.
honestly should have won last year. Exactly. If the blood clots didn't get to him,
Yep,
he would have got it last
exactly.
year.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously like you got Dylan Harper, you got Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, and then the young guy who's playing like in summer league right now, Carter Bryant. He looks like he's going to be a dog too. So I'm like, especially if the Spurs keep on doing what they're doing, I think they have the chance to be the next best dynasty, basically right there with the Thunder.
Adam.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take Thunder then. Yeah, SGA coming off the MVP and Finals MVP, looked like a man possessed in the playoffs, and been kind of looking for that like next Kobe Bryant for a long time. And I mean, I've kind of bounced around with different guys, but right now I think it's SGA. Like you turn on the tape and you compare them side by side, and you really do see it as far as like the mid range game, the fadeaways. Maybe could not quite the post game that Kobe had, but then you see it on the defensive end too. So I mean, and like they're very similar size. So not gonna say he is Kobe Bryant, but yeah, no, I love to see it from him. And then yeah, you got J Dub, and then super underrated player. Maybe won't be by this time next year, but Nikola Topic, who they're adding, and then they've also added some really nice players in the draft. But Nikola Topic, I've watched just like a few highlights of him in the summer league. He just kind of like he's not going to be Jokic. Maybe Yang Hansen's more like that size of guy, but Nikola Topic, he just looks like that another guy that can just handle the ball. Really good passer. Not sure how he is defensively, but yeah, I think it's probably the easy pick, the paint pick, but I'll go with Thunder right there.
Can't forget about Chet also.
Oh yeah, of course,
yeah.
Chet.
Michael, it's coming. The mic coming to you next.
Um, you know,
Uh-oh.
Hold on one second,
But-
Michael.
if I had, I'll probably
That's better.
will. Darn,
Should have done a mic check.
what?
Yeah,
It's
we
going
can't
in
hear
and
you.
out, Michael.
You got your phone sitting on the microphone.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. I got you. How about that?
Aha. Good call on that. Good call.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me? Good?
Yep.
All right. So, like I was saying, I'm gonna go OKC here because honestly, from the past two seasons that I watched them, last season they were kind of hot. They didn't get to the finals, but they were hot. They were getting there, and then coming into last season, they were even hotter, and they just built on their roster just a little bit to where the skill level and the dominance was just overmatched, and you can tell in the finals between the Pacers that they had the roster, they had the depth, they had the coach, they had a role player in SGA. Shout out to him winning MVP, by the way. I think that's well deserved because he balled his butt off in the playoffs. It's just really the Thunder at this point, but I'm not. I'm actually gonna go with the Spurs too. I did say Thunder, but let me go with the Spurs too because I actually see the Spurs cooking with something. And then plus, they got Chris Paul. If he stays, and it's just and my guy Victor. I don't know how to say his last name. I ain't gonna try. Y'all already know I cannot say his last name. I ain't gonna try it. Not
Wet
gonna
bananas. Just go wet bananas.
Wet bananas, love that.
try. Bananas, whatever. But that guy, man, the frame that he has, the physicality, the arm strength, man, he's gonna ball at a high level, and in the next following years with the Spurs. And I think, in honest opinion, I'm gonna go back in the day on this one. He kind of reminds me of Tim Duncan, but just a little taller, just a little more athletic. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, it's just really going to determine who has the better bright future. And I'm going to go with Adam on this one. I'm going to go with OKC. I got to go OKC because I don't know. I don't mean to be biased. I don't, I like to call it like it is. But, I'm not going to say the Spurs are not cooking. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if I had to choose, I've just been following more of SGA, but I do need to follow the Spurs more. So when I'm gonna look at more in the Spurs, but right now I'm gonna go with the Thunder and SGA.
And I mean, like in the West, like with the young teams, it's pretty much neck and neck. Like I'm telling you, like there's a lot of teams that have young talent, and I keep telling people, watch out for the Jazz in a few years. Not saying they're gonna be a dynasty, but up and coming team. The Jazz have a lot of nice young pieces. But I think if I had to say like a team for the like a dynasty, I think I'm gonna have to a different look at it. I would kind of have to look at Houston and Dallas. I think if Dallas does it right and builds around Cooper Flag and they keep AD and Kyrie on the team for the mentorship and the veteran presence and they follow the blueprint right, they can build a championship winning team. We're not saying Flag is going to be like how Luka was, but Flag is a generational prospect coming out the draft, and we saw what he did in just two summer league games. Yeah, the first one wasn't the best, but the second one was even miles better to the point where they just said, we don't need to see you play no more. And I think that's going to translate perfectly fine into the NBA. He was already hooping against, NBA prospects. So I think if you build around him correctly and you keep putting the young pieces and the right talent around Cooper Flag and you make Cooper Flag the centerpiece of the team and you build around him, they're good to go. Now for the Rockets, I think if KD can get them far enough in the playoffs this year and the Rockets can like taste what that feels like and they know what it takes to get there, like the conference finals, or for instance, I think just in the future, as time goes and they keep adding more young talent, for instance, they still got Reed Shepherd, who's in the summer league hooping right now. That's like young players that's still coming on their team. So as the years go on and they keep getting more young players, just like the Mavericks, they have a chance to become the dynasty. But I think right now, in the next 2-3 years, we're going to see teams like the Thunder win. Obviously, I think they have the best roster in the league right now.
I don't think they ever. I think they're the only team that has their entire roster from last season because I don't think there was not one player that left them in free agency. Not that
I will have to look onto it, but I would just say in the future, my two teams for the best chance with the dynasty would have to be the Mavericks or the Rockets. But right now, I will agree with y'all when y'all say OKC is probably the best team to win, the next few years. But my pick just later down the line will be either the Rockets or the Mavericks. But with that being said, do y'all have anybody that y'all think's like any players that, like the window is closing, like for instance, Joel Embiid, Damian Lillard, any players that have got I'm not even gonna say close, but have almost got it in the playoffs and gotten close to winning a ring, but haven't quite got there. For instance, Chris Paul. But Jay, I'm gonna start with you again.
I think Damian Lillard is done for, truthfully. Like all due respect to him, what I mean? One of the greatest shooters of all time, definitely maybe at that 4 or 5 spot for me, like whenever it comes to best shooters ever. I think he's done for because he's re-signing to go to Portland now, and they have a lot of nice pieces now that I feel like make them more competitive than they were in previous years. But I think he's done for. Not gonna lie. As far as which current star player I feel like their window is closing the fastest, I'm really torn between Jimmy Butler and James Harden. I think James Harden has the opportunity to be competitive a lot more with the Clippers, just because I feel like they've made some good offseason moves. And then their team, I mean, they went 7 games in the playoffs versus like the Warriors with Jimmy Butler. I feel like Steph Curry, obviously, he has that ankle injury that keeps on coming back, throughout his entire career. And then obviously with Jimmy Butler, he's not really has the capability to lead the Warriors like he did the Heat. So I feel like I'm personally want to go Jimmy Butler right now. I think James Harden has a better chance than him. And I'm not even going to talk about Paul George, man. I'm not even going to talk about Paul George. I think Paul George, he in the same boat as Dame. He done for. Because Joel Embiid is a fake superstar.
Who wants to go next?
I'll jump right off that because you just mentioned Joel Embiid. Yeah, for me, it's Joel Embiid because, I mean, he looked at one point like he was the best player in the NBA. He's had many, many good seasons, but, I mean, the man's always injured. He just doesn't really strike me as, like, the hardest worker. I mean, and when it came to what was it, the FIBA championships, the Olympics. Yeah, choosing USA over France, it's just kind of a red flag for me. So, I mean, at this point, he's stayed on the 76ers, but, I mean, the guy's always injured. And he honestly, his peak, like he could be like one of the better players in the NBA, but just kind of leaves too much he leaves too much that you want more of him. And from that standpoint, it's got to be Joel Embiid for me.
That's fair. He just doesn't want it. He really just doesn't want it.
Because the team's been there, many times they built it up, and even they'll have a good regular season, and then you just see it in the post, or you don't see it in the postseason, and like you said, he just doesn't want it.
I mean, and I'm really gonna tie that in with Paul George too. Paul George and Joel Embiid, and like looking back at this on the 76ers, the 76ers got 2 players who I just see who are too injury prone in that sense to win any games when it really matters. Like you said, Adam, at his peak, Joel Embiid is an MVP caliber player, but how can you have that when you're constantly hurt or you're constantly worrying about getting hurt? Joel Embiid was hurt so many times this year. Every time I turn on the Sixers game, I never saw him in. I think, and I'm just going to, and I know this is kind of off topic, but if I was a Sixers, I would seriously look to start building around Maxey, who is a great young player, Maxey, they got McCain still. They got they got young talent that they can keep building around. But in my opinion, I just think Joel Embiid, I think his window is I don't think it's closing. I think it's closed. I think he's too, him and Paul George, they're just too injury prone at this point in their career. You can throw that in for Dame too. No matter how much I respect Dame, going back to Portland, all it's going to do for him right now is just give that veteran leadership for these young guys. Scoot and however you say that other dude's name, but Michael
Donovan Clingan, I think you're talking about.
Clingan. It starts with the A. That's what I can't. It's like on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me later.
I think dingy.
It's like Danny something. It's like Danny something like that.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name right now.
Oh, but yeah, I'm gonna jump in on that. Joel Embiid, he's just got to a point where it's in his career where it's like you can't depend on him, and it's just, Philadelphia, they've been a team that has been, they'll rise one minute, then they'll fall the next. It's just too up and down with Philadelphia, and I think it's just at that point where now it's just like I said, you can't depend on Joel Embiid. And I'm with Deuce on this one. I think it's time to just start building with. You said his name not too long ago, Deuce.
Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah. He's already killing. He's gonna be a beast. He's the somebody you can depend on. And I think Joel Embiid is just not taking care of his body the way he's supposed to. You're a big man. You're a leader on this team, and every second you're hurt. If it's not an ankle injury, it's a hamstring. If it's not a hamstring, it's always something. And when you're injury prone for a good minute, I'm surprised the Philadelphia 76ers ain't thought about trading him or releasing him. But I'm kind of not surprised at the same time because he was the best pick in the draft for them. And to the Philadelphia fans and the 76 organization, he's the face of their franchise. But at this point, I just don't think you can depend on him, and that leaves me with Damian Leonard. That leaves me with Kawhi Leonard. That leaves me with Paul George. It's the list goes on, but I think for Paul George, I think these players they need to really get themselves in shape and do some training. Just do something to where you can prove to everyone else that you are in physical shape, that you are a top 100% contender, and can be the face. Because, like you said, with the Clippers, you got James Harden, you got Paul George. It's just it doesn't make any sense that Joel Embiid is hurt this much. And I think at this point, he's just not focused like he claimed he is. Like I said, he has anger issues too. Let's also think about that. There have been times that every time a foul is called, he would get into a scuffle. If it's not a scuffle, he gets an argument with the referee. It's not disciplined enough to be a leader for the 76ers. And I'm just going to call it like it is here. I think his window is closing more than Paul George and James Harden and Damian Leonard, for example. So if anybody's window is closing here, it's Joel Embiid. And if I'm Joel Embiid, I either take it serious now or you're never going to win. In this game, you got to be disciplined and physical enough to win this game. And honestly, his physicality is way below 5. And he needs to do something, or his window is gonna close. I think it's already closed. Like you said, man, his window's already closed.
I think it's already closed too. Not gonna lie, I feel like if the Sixers ever end up winning the championship, it won't be with Joel Embiid. Honestly, like his best chance would be to go to another team. Honestly, take a pay cut. Yeah. I don't know.
He's not.
How can you? He just seems like a locker room cancer, though. It's just like wherever he goes, he's just gonna bring down the team. I feel like.
I think his best years were just a few years ago when he had Harden on his team, and they were competing with the Celtics to go to the championship. But since then, it's just been the Sixers have been dropping in the standings year after year. More injuries on the team throughout the team, but it's just like Joel Embiid. It's like him, and then Paul George is right next to him.
Yeah. I feel like Joel Embiid kind of got complacent after he won that MVP, because he was crying about how he felt like he deserved to get MVP for years, and then like he was taking them games real serious against Jokic when they're like neck and neck in the standings. And the moment he got MVP, I feel like he was like, I got what I wanted, And then, like you said, he went ahead and went to the USA team instead of going to France or to Cameroon. He could have went to either one of those two.
That's right. Yeah, he could have gone to Cameroon too.
Exactly. Try to help them out. But he said, no, I want my easy gold medal. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not hungry, man. I heard them dogs
he hardly played.
Back, and they were not Joel Embiid. He's not a dog.
That's the problem with him.
That's a puppy.
Yeah, that's a puppy. I like that.
You're a big man, but you're not hungry. And that's kind of sad to me, because how can you be a big man for an organization and you're not hungry? It's like he's easygoing. Like I said, of course he's gonna win gold medal with USA. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you are the player that Philadelphia leans on, and you are not proving anything. You're not proving anything. Like you said, you wanted to win the MVP, but let's be honest, the MVP, it's an award. It's good enough, but I would be more hungry for a championship, and that's the problem with me. You know what I'm saying? The MVP it's an award. Award is an award, but the championship is the main thing, because look at Philadelphia Eagles, for example, right? They got all their pieces, and they won the Super Bowl for their city because they were hungry enough to get it. Jalen Hurts was hungry to get it. Saquon Barkley was hungry to get it. So, and that leads me to basketball. Joel Embiid, you talk about you want to win a championship. You talk about, we don't have the roster. I don't never get this. I don't never get that. But how can you get something if you don't work for it? And you are not working for it. And if my thing is, I think the Philadelphia 76ers, they need to wake up, and they need to quit being so spoiled with Joel Embiid, because you are not going to win if you continue to hold on to him. And I think their organization is in danger if they keep.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
he could put up like a 50 and 20 game and then he just completely disappears. It's the consistency and it's like the motor. It's like it's the want to get
and
it.
I mean,
But go ahead, Juice.
if your leader is not a good leader, your team not gonna wanna,
Yeah, your team is not
look,
going.
if like I think about it like with like the Lakers, with Kobe. Kobe wanted to win. He made his team around him want to win.
Mhm.
It seemed like Joel Embiid just don't do that. And it just I don't know. It seemed
He,
like right now, it's kind of a I don't know. It's not in the right direction right now, but Philly
Yeah.
got years to come. They got, they just drafted VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor. They got Tyrese Maxey, got Jared McCain. They got young pieces. And I mean, if y'all
those,
haven't seen VJ Edgecombe, go watch his highlight. Oh my
Nah, BJ
gosh,
is gonna be
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
he got
those
He's gonna be
crazy.
nice.
That's a man that
He's
wants
gonna
to win
be
a
nice.
He
championship.
has crazy
those
look.
guys are gonna be the
Listen,
face.
the generator, they lived off a generator.
It's
Yeah,
hey,
Come on.
That's
bro.
wild.
his
Yeah.
story is crazy, but oh my gosh, just when the season starts, and y'all gotta watch VJ Edgecombe. But going into our last question of this segment or this episode, any young players that stand out to y'all that y'all think are going to like take face of the league, even try to possibly reshape it, with with their gameplay. We saw Curry for at one point. He was the one that really made three-pointing popular. If in like for our day and age, he made one and shoot threes popular. So, do y'all have any players that like are going to change the league, inspire players? Just any of that?
So my initial thought was Anthony Edwards, just because like the tear that he's been on, the legends he's been taking down. He's kind of like reminding a lot of people of like the early 2000s guard, kind of like D Wade, Tracy McGrady, Kobe, even. A lot of people say Michael Jordan, even. Uh, but another player that kind of just crept into the back of my mind is Tyrese Halliburton. Just the way that like he's bringing back the traditional point guard, finding ways to impact the game that doesn't just be scoring. I feel like that's something that a lot of people are starting to recognize is as valuable as being able to be the leading scorer on the team. Being able to be
Like a modern day Steve Nash, honestly.
Exactly. So I think between those two players that like I think Ant will be a good face of the league. Tyrese Halliburton is definitely going to be something that I feel like is going to change the game though. Bring back that modern day Steve Nash or Magic Johnson.
or John Stockton.
Yeah, all the great passers. I think Tyrese Halliburton, like whenever he retires, assuming everything goes correct after this ACL injury, I think he could definitely end up in that conversation of like greatest playmakers of all time, as long as like his trajectory keeps going the way it's going.
Yeah, there's some stat like he has the most 20-point, 10 assist games with 0 turnovers in NBA history, and the man's like 25. Like,
See,
it's wild. Like,
that's
it's
ridiculous.
crazy what he's doing. Yeah. But I'll piggyback off that. I was with you, and like Anthony Edwards is the guy I thought was gonna be the face of the NBA. Like, he's got the face, he's got the smile, he's got the charisma, and he's got the game too. But he just kind of like the way he disappeared in the playoffs this past year. Just like when I wanted him to just take it to OKC, and when he was getting double teamed, but he just didn't, and he was passing a little bit too much. But like I know he's saying he's still like going to come back full force, and like he's definitely got the potential to do it. For me, it's like I always have this like back and forth battle in my head of like, will they give the face of the NBA to someone that's not like a USA born player? Because like there's been like it could have been Nikola Jokic for years, could be SGA right now. Luka Doncic could still have something to say about that as well. I mean, I'll go on a limb and say SGA if he keeps playing at this form, and keeps because he does it on both ends too.
Yeah.
And so from that standpoint, just being able to, and he also just like a blast from the past, just having that mid range game, like he can hit a three, and he definitely dominates when he goes to the hoop, gets fouled. He's not a foul merchant though. I will never say he's a free throw merchant.
Mm.
But like the mid-range game, that's I love to see that. Like I said earlier already, it reminds me of Kobe Bryant a little bit, and it doesn't hurt that he's Canadian either because I was born in Canada. So I'd love to see SGA just like take it by force, and just continue what he did last year. So it's gonna be really interesting. And it's like I've even heard LeBron say like no one wants to become the face of the NBA because they've seen like what you guys do to the face of the NBA. So maybe that's just like a bunch of hearsay, but we'll see. Like there's probably a good like 5 players, maybe more, that could be the face of the NBA. So it's gonna be really interesting to watch over the next couple of years.
Yeah. Deuce, I'm gonna let you go now.
Oh, I like how you mentioned international player because I think like right now international players are kind of taking over the league. You know, we see year after year of these more international players entering the draft. And it just kind of like reminds me of the MLB in a sense. You know, you see all these international players playing in the MLB that are your top players in the league. You know, so I think like as the time keeps going, more international players into the league. That's you're probably gonna see more international players like in that like Luca or Jokic like best players. But if I say the face of the league, I would probably say Luca. And this is why I'm gonna say this. I think when Braun retires and Luca gets full keys to LA, that team is a young, hungry Lakers squad is going to be a team to compete for a championship. And if they win a championship in LA, LA's Hollywood. You know,
Mhm.
everybody's going to see Luca. Everybody's going to want to go to the Lake. Everybody already wants to go to the, or most people want to go to the Lakers. You know, that's Hollywood. That's preferable team for like the top players. I just think with Luca in LA, and if he wins some championship rings, that's going to set the tone for the media image that hey, I'm the face of the league. Not taking like no shade from SGA or players like Wemby or Ant, because I also think that they have a very strong case. Because my second option would be Anthony Edwards. He is what I thought John Morant was going to be. You know,
Yeah.
if John Morant could stay out of trouble and actually stay healthy. But Anthony Edwards is what I thought John Morant's going to be. So my 1 and 2 would probably have to be either Luca or Anthony Edwards. But we'll see how the rest of this plays out.
I don't know if you can be the face of the league playing no defense.
It, I think
It's true.
I don't know.
But there are a lot of players who have a good offense but don't have good defense, or they got good defense, they have good offense.
I look. I think every player has a flaw. Their flaws. You know, every
Every
player has their flaws. Yes, defense is a big one. I think maybe if Skinny Luca and what the reports are saying, and if Skinny Luca is actually what the reports are saying, and he is actually starting to show up on defense and actually work out harder, then I think hey, if he fixes the defense, he has no problem. You know, becoming the face of the league. But like I
He
said,
does have
it
that
is
redemption arc working
it.
for him.
Yeah.
But like I said, it is a very strong case with other players like SGA who just won a championship. Anthony Edwards, who has, the media personality. He's carrying all the people said he was Michael Jordan's son for the longest. And they're probably
They
still saying
still
it
do.
today.
They still
So
do. Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards. I'm gonna go Anthony Edwards here because honestly, the brother, he knows ball in and out, in and out on the court. Number one, number two, he has particularly shown time and time again, year after year, that he's he's taking the off season seriously. Like we don't have to see videos of him working out. We don't have to see videos of him, doing this and that. Like his game, he's stepping up his game at a higher level, and I think the future is bright for him. Honestly, in my opinion, like I mean, regardless of his defensive struggles, he can grow from that. There are a lot of players I've seen who have had horrible defenses and defensive skill and grow from that, and then they end up being the defensive player of the year. So it's really just determining that you know Anthony Edwards has proven to be a leader. He's proven to be a rising star. He's proven to be the face of an organization. He's proven time and time again, and I think he's going to keep proving that as the year goes along. I don't think he's been injury prone. He's been taking care of his shape. He's been taking care of his body. And he's just proven to many leaders. There've even been guys on his team that have basically said that they trust him to lead this team. Goldberg even said that, like the guys are leaning towards Anthony Edwards because they see something, and I see something, and when I see something, in a player, that's just not me saying that. It's a feeling, and Anthony Edwards has proven that I am that guy. I can ball at a high level. I am a all star. I'm proven to be MVP caliber. I'm proven to be a championship guy that's hungry to go get it. And when a guy is hungry to go get it, that's a dangerous player. So I think Anthony Edwards is going to be even more dangerous as the year goes along. Um, I'm just going to cut it that short because honestly, I'm leaning towards Anthony Edwards. I don't know what it is, but I just got a good feeling that Anthony Edwards is that guy, that player, that his physicality can go to the next level. Even Hallisberg, despite his injury, I'm praying that he recovers from that injury because seeing him on that scooter is kind of sad. But the guy balled at a high level in the playoffs, and I think he's going to be the face of the organization for the Indiana Pacers. You know, I
For
think
sure.
he's going to be the next man, what's his
Reggie
name?
Miller.
Reggie
Reggie
Miller.
Miller.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
More
going
passer,
to
less
take
shooter.
the Pacers organization.
I hate what he did to New York, by the way.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
You and our co-host Ben.
That was vicious. But yeah, it's just those two guys between Hollinsberg and Anthony Edwards. I think these guys are not only going to be the face of the organization, but I think that the future is bright for them. And you know, these guys could be possibly end up seeing each other in the finals, or yeah.
I got to throw one more name out there just because I'm surprised none of us said it. Victor
oh
Wembanyama.
yeah. Oh yeah.
It might take a couple years, but like I mean, the man's so young. He's called the alien for a reason. He's got every physical tool that you could ever imagine. At some point, people compared him to Chet, like who was going to be better. Now, like we know it's definitely Wembanyama. Chet could still make a case for himself of being a very very good player. Like he is deserving of the contract, in my opinion. But back to Wembanyama. I mean, he's got the handles. Like, how are you that tall with like almost like 8 foot wingspan? But he has the handles of a point guard. He's got the passing capability. He puts like 10 pounds of muscles, 10 pounds of muscle on. Like literally, watch out world, watch out league, because and that's another really likable player. That I think like the media will be ready to crown him if he leads the Spurs to postseason, if they win a championship in the next like 2-3 years, and then they have like the supporting cast around him, then I think it could be a easy pick, honestly. So I'll throw Wemby out there as well.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that Wemby got a crazy. He got a nice squad around him. You know,
He do.
you got De'Aaron Fox, you got Stephon Castle, reigning rookie of the year. Then you got Harper, you got Dylan Harper in the draft, who you know is right behind Cooper Flag, is also competing for rookie of the year. So that's another possible rookie of the year. And I got a few more veterans. I
De'Aaron
can't
Fox.
scratch out can't
Uh,
scratch out the top of my head. They got Harrison Barnes on their team too,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, that's another nice veteran. Was really nice with the Kings, and I think he helped. He really did help De'Aaron Fox. Um, but I think we all had like pretty good, you know, young players, and each of these players could take the league by storm. They each have their case to, you know, take over the league, and I think each season these players are kind of stood out. You know, last year it was SGA. A few years ago it was Luca. Like a few years ago, even like 2 years ago, when what you call it, Timberwolves lost to the Mavs in the playoffs. I think at that year Anthony Edwards was, you know, the next face of the league. So every year these players just make more of a name for themselves. But wrapping this up, this was a nice, you know, little exclusive episode with my friend Jay. You know, you're always
Thanks
welcome
for
back
joining.
on an episode anytime. Love the basketball knowledge. And as always, make sure y'all like, subscribe, and share all of our content to all of our platforms from inside the locker room. As always, thank y'all, and y'all have a good day.
All right. Thank you for letting me join the podcast, by the way. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun talking ball with y'all.